All right, folks, welcome back to the next part in the BrightSky weather app series. In this part, we're primarily going to start focusing on the integration of in-app purchases with RevenueCat and setting all that up in the RevenueCat dashboard, as well as in App Store Connect, where we can register all of our subscription products. Before we jump into things, hit that like button down below. Make sure you open up Xcode, and let's continue where we left off. So one quick thing that I do want to mention before we jump into the world of in-app purchases over there in my browser is you might have noticed that we get all the temperatures back in Celsius, and we're over here in the US, we don't use a metric system over here. So I did want to at least showcase how you can go about converting this to a different unit, and that unit being Fahrenheit. So I'm going to Command-Shift-F across a project to every single place where I'm saying .temperature. And what we're doing is we're using the description of the temperature. So rather than doing that, what we will end up doing is we can say from this temperature, we can ask it to be converted to a different unit. And what I'm going to convert it to is Fahrenheit. Now, once we convert something to Fahrenheit, it's going to yell at me because it is not of string type. So we can get the description, but if you get the description and try to run it, you're going to notice a problem. The problem is that we're getting a very precise number here, and the description is not, limiting the number of fractional digits. What we can actually do is the following. We can actually take this whole thing and we can grab the integer value from it. So I'm going to say create a string, grab the integer value from this .value, and then you can get the unit type as well from this, but we know that it's Fahrenheit, so I'll just put an F, and to get the degree symbol, I believe it's Option Shift 8, if I'm not mistaken, and let's give this a build and run, and if this looks appropriate, we can actually change it elsewhere. So it does look appropriate. It looks like we should have put the degree before the F there, so let me fix that. So that's Fahrenheit. We'll add a space there as well, make sure it looks good. All right, it looks pretty good. So let's actually do this in the other places where we are getting the temperature. So over here as well, here we did model.temperature.description. So we could actually just copy and paste. And there's one other place where we got the high and low temperature. So that would be in the daily weather. So let's see where that is. So it's actually right here. So what I'll go and do is the following. I'll create a utility function, which will be string for temp, and temperature here will be a measurement, and it has a unit type is the generic way that this is set up, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And what I'll do here is we'll simply return the exact same thing. So here, instead of model.temperature, we're just going to have temp in here. If I compile, hopefully that doesn't yell at me. And instead of using this directly, we can say inside of here, we can say string for model.low-temperature. And similarly, on the right-hand side, we can do the exact same thing, but it'll be high temperature. And this way we'll get something that looks a little more appropriate in our app instead of, all the fractional numbers. So here we have, 58 to 73 degrees, or we have, no more fractions, and we have Fahrenheit as well. So I did want to call that out since I did feel it was important. But without further ado, let's get into some in-app purchases. Alrighty, so we are going to split in-app purchases in two videos. We're going to cover a whole lot in this video. We're going to do a bunch of setup, and then in the next video, what we'll specifically focus on is using a really cool new feature that RevenueCat is rolling out. It's in beta right now for creating a paywall on the fly in the browser and having it show up here in your app. So let's get to it. The first thing that we want to do, let me just call it, I guess. I've got the RevenueCat dashboard opened up here. You can create a free RevenueCat account where we're going to do our app setup. I've got their documentation opened up as well, since it never hurts to follow along the guide, even though I've got other videos that do walk through this. And then finally, in App Store Connect, I do have an instance of our BrightSky weather app created through the same bundle ID, where we will need to register our in-app purchases. So let me actually click on in-app purchases here. So this does load. Sometimes App Store Connect is slow. And let's get into things. Now, the first thing that we want to do is as follows. We want to bring in the SDK that RevenueCat provides, the Purchases SDK, and there are a variety of ways that you can bring it in. You can use Swift Package Manager, you can use CocoaPods, etc. I'm going to choose to use Swift Package Manager, where we can basically copy this Git URL for the repository and bring it on in. So let me do that here. We're going to go to File, and there should be an option in here to add packages. Now we're going to paste that URL right up here, and it'll actually find the Purchases SDK. Everything you can leave as is in terms of the default settings. You're going to hit this button. It's going to fetch the SDK, gives you a percentage indicator here as well. It should be fairly quick. The first time you do it, it can be a little slower, just the way Xcode resolves and caches frameworks, but it should not take super long. So while that's being set up, back in the dashboard here, let's actually create a new app. So we need to create a new project instance. So we're going to hit this project drop down up here, and we'll say create new project. And what we'll do is we'll give this a name. I'll give this a name of BrightSky Weather. Alrighty, we'll create it like so. And we want to add a Apple App Store instance app in here. So here we'll say BrightSky iOS. It wants the bundle ID. So let's go back to Xcode. And actually Xcode is still busy. So let me actually go back here into our app instance on App Store Connect. And if you go to app information, you should have the same bundle ID here, which is io.iosacademy.brightsky, all lowercase. So let's go and add that in here. Make sure you spell it correctly, since this is important. Well, I should say all the identifiers are important that they match. So let me do that, io.iosacademy.brightsky. So here we can bring in the App Store Connect app specific shared secret. This guy's pretty important because this is where we will need to essentially allow the RevenueCat side to communicate with the Apple side. So here we have this get secret option, and we can bring in a secret and toss the value in here. So let's go back to App Store Connect. We're going to click on in-app purchases, and there should be a link in here to get that shared secret. Apple might have moved it, but let's see if we can find it. So I believe we do need to create our first in-app purchase for it to show up. So let's actually do that, because I don't see the link for it here. We'll create a in-app purchase. It's going to say, what type do you want? Do you want a consumable or a non-consumable? We actually don't want an in-app purchase. It looks like Apple actually did change this. We should have an option here for subscriptions. There we are. So we are in subscriptions. And let's see if I can find where this shared secret bit has moved to, because it definitely does exist somewhere in here. Otherwise, we'll have to come back and create it. So let's see. Your first subscription must be submitted. All right, so this just gives us information. Let's create that subscription group, and let's see what's going to go on here. So the reference name that I'll give is BrightSky Pro. So we'll do that and bring that in. Now we're going to have two different offerings or plans, I should say, within our subscription. So the two plans that we will have is a monthly and a yearly, and this will reflect really nicely on the paywall that we'll bring in the next video. So the subscription we're going to bring in, so we're going to have a reference name. So this will be the Pro Monthly. And what I like to do for the product ID is take the bundle ID, so in this case, io.iosacademy.brightsky, and I like to just suffix it with, some identifier. So in this case, it'll be monthly. We'll create it like so. Now, once you create it, there is a little bit of setup that you need to do. Of course, in here, we need to set up, some metadata. We, of course, need to give it a price, because how else are we going to charge our customers? So let's give this a subscription duration. We gave it a monthly name, so we're going to pick 1 month. The next thing that we want to do before I jump into the pricing stuff is just hit that save button. Sometimes App Store Connect is slow. In this case, it's actually working quite well. So, fingers crossed it stays like that. We'll select some availability options there. So we just picked all the defaults. Let's once more save it incrementally to make sure that we don't lose any of our changes. And it looks like I spoke too soon, because saving is taking a little longer now. But if you ever run into saving issues, just refresh the page. Here we are going to set up a subscription price. I'm going to change this to be the US dollar so we can just search for United States. And we're going to set our monthly price here to be, let's do something like $4.99, which would give us a annual price of $60 roughly, and we'll have a better deal for annual for those of users that opt into that. When we hit next, you should see App Store Connect automatically do the currency conversions for you, and we can just hit next and confirm. Now, we're not going to have any introductory pricing, in other words, something like a free trial. We can definitely add that later on if need be, but for the sake of this series, we'll just leave it as is. Now, we do want to add some localizations as well. This is important so our user actually sees something in the sheet where they'll confirm the purchase. So this is things like your title and your description. In other words, display name. So I'll call this BrightSky Pro Monthly. And we'll say unlock daily forecasts and more. So the idea here is that daily forecasts will sit behind a paywall, as well as some other stuff that we potentially will add in the future, hence the more. So we'll add that here. Alrighty, looks like it is auto saving, which is really awesome. You can obviously add more localization descriptions here for your title and display name. But, I'm just going to choose to stick with English for now. Let's hit this little back button here to go back to our subscriptions page. And let's see what else we need to do. It looks like we have that plan added, that subscription to Pro Monthly. We've got this set up here. It's set up as 1 month duration. Let's ignore the missing metadata for just 2 seconds. Let's add some localization to this top level group. So there's a subscription group display name. So this is going to be BrightSky Weather Pro. Now, you might be confused about groups and the plans within them. A group is basically what the user is subscribing to, and the plans give you, different pricing, different intervals, different cadences, things of that nature. So that's the kind of differentiating factor here between these two localizations. Just be mindful of that. We've got a subscription group ID. We can leave that be for the time being. Now let's add one more plan here. We're going to say that this is BrightSky Pro, let's call it annual. And product ID, I copied the one we added before. I'm going to change this to be yearly. Alrighty, let's continue here. All right, what else do we need to do? Once more, we're going to do the same exercise again. We're going to select the interval here. It's going to be a 1 year subscription. We're going to select some availability. We'll stick with all the defaults. It's good, looks good to me. Let's see what else we need to do. Tax category, we'll leave that as is. It's going to match the parent app. Localization, let's bring this in. We're going to say this is BrightSky yearly, or BrightSky Pro yearly, I should say. Let's capitalize everything as well. And the description will basically be the same. So unlock daily forecasts and more. Alrighty. Make sure you hit that save button incrementally so you don't lose any of your changes. All right, looks like it's saved. And the most important piece, let's bring on in some pricing. So let's do this. We're gonna search for USD. And it looks like actually it's a search for the country to filter it. And so we said $4.99 for the monthly price, which would give us, if you subscribe on the monthly cadence, an annual price of something like $59.99. Something that will be nice is for those that opt into the annual plan, they pay a lower price. So something like $30. So it's $29.99. We'll go hit next. We'll get all the conversions. We'll confirm. Alrighty. Give App Store Connect a moment to get everything all settled here, and we should be good to go. So let's jump back to our reference and let's try to find the shared secret now. So we have some information here. Shared secret used to be somewhere around here, but looks like it's not. So let's go back to our primary subscription page and let's see if we can find this app-specific shared secret. It is somewhere on this page, but if we can't, we'll have to come back to it. So let's see if I can find it somewhere in here. Sometimes Apple likes to move stuff around. So, if you ever find yourself looking for stuff like I am at the moment, not to worry. You just kind of need to spend some time to discover where on earth it went. So instead of wasting time doing this, let's actually come back here. Let's make sure Xcode has resolved our framework. So we want RevenueCat and we also do want RevenueCat UI. The reason we need both of these is because RevenueCat, or the purchases SDK under the hood, will give us the core implementation that we want, and the UI part, this library, will give us the ability to leverage their new paywall features that are in beta and rolling out. So let's select both of those and hit add packages. Once you've done that, give Xcode some time to resolve everything and hit Command B to try and build everything. All right, while we're doing that, let's actually come back here and let's see if we can skip this shared secret bit for now. Looks like we can. Let's see if it lets me do this. And because we can always come back and add this, so let's hit save changes. All right, so it looks like it did let me skip that for now. We obviously will need to add it. It's really important. But let's see what we got in here. So on the left-hand side in the RevenueCat dashboard, you're going to see quite a bit of options. They're nicely organized. They're pretty straightforward to walk through. So first we have, of course, our app here. This is the app under this project. The reason it's structured like this is presumably you can add things like an Android app, or perhaps you have other apps. You can have a project with multiple apps within it. Now we click in this, we'll see we've got the app bundle ID, we've got the name of the app, we've got some other things we can fill out, like the Apple server to server notifications URL. You have your in-app purchase key configuration, so you can configure this as well. You have your App Store Connect API, Apple Small Business Account, public API key, etc., etc. Now, we do need this public API key, and the reason we need this is to configure the SDK. So if we come back to the documentation, here we have the installation guide, but if you scroll down just a smidge, you'll see we have this configuring SDK option. Now, if you go into your configuring SDK, whoops, looks like we didn't actually select it. Let's go to configuring the SDK. You'll see some really great literature. And actually, this is one of the things that I really enjoy about the RevenueCat offering, is that things are really well documented. You would hope that, in most cases, things are well documented, but it is often not the case. But we can actually just get away with copy and pasting here. So let's jump into our app delegate where our application will first launch. And we're going to want to import the purchases SDK. And let's see if it's actually called just RevenueCat now. Looks like it is. Alrighty, so we're gonna import that, and let's come down into here. And we are going to bring this on in, and it looks like it's yelling at me because I need to give an actual API key here. And I also need to give an app user ID. I believe this parameter is indeed optional. Let me see if I can get rid of it. I believe I can. Okay, awesome, looks like we can. And the API key, if I'm not mistaken, should be our public API key that is available here in our dashboard for our project and app. So let me add that here. Let's give our project a build and run, and let's see if we're crashing, if we're hitting any issues. Alrighty, it looks like we are not. It does look like we are printing some stuff here. So let's see what we're actually printing, these random numbers, because that's kind of distracting and not very helpful. So it does look like we are printing the day here, which we can get rid of. And it also looks like we're printing our models here. So let's get rid of all those prints now that most of our app is in pretty good shape. We can leave this error here, I guess, for now, since if we do hit an error, we do want to see it. But that's basically the integration of the RevenueCat fundamentals here. Now, we still have not accomplished two things that I do want to get through in this video at least, and that is setting up our entitlements, offerings, and products. So these are pretty easy to map in RevenueCat back to Apple's own portal. So entitlements are basically what you could think of as what a user unlocks when they have subscribed to something, right? So in our case, our entitlement will basically just be called Pro. We have a Pro entitlement, and once the user has subscribed, they'll get basically that entitlement added for them. So we are going to use the example they actually showcase here, and the description will be BrightSky Pro Access. Pretty straightforward. All right, we'll get this added here. We got our entitlement. It's on 0 products, you'll notice here, and we'll adjust that momentarily. So now that we've got this entitlement added here, we do want to add products. Now these products are one-to-one mappings between the products in App Store Connect, in our subscription here, and back in RevenueCat as well. So if we come into here, we see we have our BrightSky Pro group here. And inside of this, we've got the Pro Monthly and we've got the Pro Annual. Now, it's really important that you copy these identifiers for the products one for one. This is how the RevenueCat backend and SDK will correlate, fetch, and actually transact upon these in-app purchases. So let's go back into RevenueCat and we're going to add both of these. So we go to products, and once more we have this new button. We are going to bring in something for BrightSky iOS. Now it'll ask you if you want to import products automatically, which we are going to skip. So let's see if we can just do this manually. So we'll bring in the identifier. So here it gives you a nice example of your identifier. So we'll bring this in here. We have a display name. So this one is going to be Pro Monthly. And we can do create product. And pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now in here, this is pretty important where it wants you to associate a entitlement to this. So let's actually do that. We can do that in here by going to the, I believe, edit tab. Let's see if I can find it in here. Look, nope, looks like it's not the edit tab. We might actually do this on the entitlements page. Let me actually get through creating all these products first and foremost. So let's come back here. Let's go back to products and we should have our product here. All right, and we want to create one more product, and one more product that we're going to create is going to be for the annual. So we'll copy and paste this again. And I believe I did yearly as the suffix. So let's go back here and just confirm. Yep, it is indeed yearly. And let's give it a display name. This will be Pro Annual, and we can do create product. All right, beautiful. Let's go back to entitlements. Let's come inside of here, and what it's going to ask here is that we can attach this to products. We're gonna attach this to both of these. So we've got this one here, and we can say add a new product. Whoops, we don't want to add a new product. We want to actually save since we already did add a product. So we're gonna attach this to the monthly product that we've added. Okay, awesome. And let's do this attachment one more time. We're also going to attach this to the yearly product. So this entitlement is, going to be given to you regardless of if you're on the monthly plan or on the yearly plan. They're mutually exclusive. A user can't be subscribed to either, but let's just refresh the page and make sure that these are sticking. So entitlements look good and our products look good. Okay, awesome. Finally, we're going to talk about offerings. Now, offerings is how we can package our products together into an offering. Let's come into here and hit new. And let's do some stuff here. So here I am going to call this our default offering. We'll call this BrightSky Pro offering. Now we have some metadata here that we can specify. It is indeed in beta. We're just gonna leave that put for the time being, and we'll hit save here. Now, if you take a look at this offering, you'll see that there are 0 packages associated with it. So let's click into this. And taking a look at what we got going on in here, we got some packages and metadata. We're gonna ignore metadata and hit new package. Now, what is a package going to be? So we can have a monthly package, and we also have our, if we click on this again, our annual, 6 month, 3 months, various cadences. So here we'll call this Pro Monthly, like so. Alrighty, so that's been added. We do need to associate a product with it, but we do want one more package. And the other package that we want is annual. So we're going to say Pro Yearly. We'll hit save here. Now, before we click away from the screen, we do want to associate our products. So with monthly, you probably know what we're going to do here. We're going to click into this. Boom, we got products. Just like we attached entitlements, we're going to attach products to our packages. So monthly, you guessed it, will be monthly. Don't forget to hit that attach button up here to confirm. Let's go back to offerings. Let's go back into this offering, and you'll see this product or this package as one product now. And we'll do the same thing for the other one here. We'll come into here and we'll attach this offering with yearly. Now, it's really important that you do all this setup. The offerings are particularly critical because once we do get to the step of diving into the paywall setup here, we'll be leveraging offerings in our products and our entitlements to allow the user to basically see the various options we're offering to them, no pun intended here. So let's take a look at what else we need to do here. So within our app, we have this. Let's see if anything in general we need to set up. I don't believe we do need to set up anything else in here. All right, let's just take a look. Now, actually, one other thing that I should call out that is actually important to set up is for local testing. And this is because we're building on a simulator, you might be able to deploy to device. Where you can forego this is we do want to set up a local StoreKit configuration file in Xcode where the user has, kind of a copy of mock data for both of these product IDs. So let's actually do that before we wrap up the video here. So let's come back to Xcode. We're going to hit File, New, and we are going to search for File. And inside of the templates, we're going to search for a StoreKit configuration file. You can leave the name the default if something does indeed pop up. So here we do have an option to sync this file with an app and App Store Connect. I'm going to forego that and just enter everything manually. So we're going to call this configuration. We'll continue here. We can leave this as default, and essentially inside of here, we're going to hit this little plus at the bottom left, and we're going to bring in the exact same IDs. So here we have a auto renewable subscription group we're creating. So we're going to call this BrightSky Pro and create this. Alrighty, the first thing we want to do is bring in the ID. So we'll say Pro monthly for the first product, I should say. I just copy and pasted it because I don't trust myself to not make typos. Now we want to create one more in here. So we're going to do one more auto renewable. We're going to add to the same group. No need to create another one. This is going to be Pro Annual, and this ID will be updated accordingly as well. So I'll do .yearly. Now, as long as the IDs match, you won't have any issues here, but I generally like the prices to match as well, since it does end up mirroring what the end user will see. So we're gonna update these prices here, and we are also going to update the interval for this. So we have 1 year. Family sharing, we can leave that off. No offer. We do want to make sure that we bring in some localization. So in this case, English is already added, so I can double click this and just edit it. So I'll say Pro Yearly in here, and this one will be unlock daily forecasts and more. I'm going to copy that and do the same thing for monthly. So we'll copy and paste that into here, and this one will be Pro Monthly, and we can save it. Now, one critical thing that a lot of people forget to do is once you've created this configuration file, you do actually need to add it into your scheme. So let's go into our scheme dropdown here. We'll hit Edit Scheme. And under the Run option within options here, there should be a dropdown selection for StoreKit configuration. We're going to use configuration here. So it looks like we have some options. We'll use this one here. Hit Command B. Everything should be building. Hit that run button. Make sure your app still is indeed showing up, not crashing. We should have, no change, of course, in the UI yet, but we're in pretty good shape in the next video to start diving into getting our paywall to show up. And we're also going to be able to choose from templates that are provided in the RevenueCat dashboard, which is actually really cool because back in the day, you would have to do all of this manually. There was no option for experimentation between different types of paywalls. But now you can do all of this in a one-stop shop type format. So that is all I've got in this video. In the next part, we'll also set up that shared secret that we skipped in this video and any other configuration that we have left to do. Thanks so much for watching and sticking around. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or concerns, or hit any bugs along the way. Hit that like button before clicking to the next part, and I'll see y'all there.